Hello and welcome back to our series of videos on QNAP NAS. Once again, we are looking at QTS 5.0, the latest generation and release of the software and services from QNAP. And today we are looking at how to set up the NAS and enjoy the NAS for video media. That's right, this is the 5th video in this series, and today we are looking at how to make the most of it with all of your TV shows, your movies, your home movies and more. Now, it is recommended that you have watched at the very least the Photo Tools video prior to this, a couple of videos ago, because in that one I go into a lot more detail than I'm going to today about DLNA media servers and uPnP. Now, they are ways in which you can access the multimedia on your NAS via the local area network with relative ease. It requires very little in terms of security credentials and just an easy way to access it. And if you're using devices that have very little or are more restricted graphical user interface and input, such as home consoles, media boxes, Amazon Fire Stick and more, then it's recommended that you utilize uPnP or DLNA media servers to access the video media on your NAS. I'm going to show you how to do it in just a moment, but I just wanted to highlight that I'm going to skim over it a little bit in today's video because I go into a lot more detail in it with the photos video. So if you've not watched that, check it out. And it will be linked in the description. But for now, stick with me because I'm pretty sure I'll get most of your answers anyway. So if you go into the Application Center, the apps you're going to need to install for today are the following. One is the Media Streaming add-on. Next, you need to install the Video Station application down here. And there's also, if you choose to, and I'll mention them later on, Cayin or Cayin Media Player or Cinema 28. The other thing I recommend, particularly if you're going to be using Video Station, is to head to the left-hand side to this tab here that says Multimedia Add-ons. And at the very least, install TMDB for Movie, or all three. These are what connects the Video Station application later on to online resources to scrape metadata, such as thumbnails, descriptions, casting information, and more. And this is what makes your media server far more graphically appealing. So it's recommended to install one or all. They're very small applications in kilobits of size, and they allow you to access all of that metadata. Also later in this video, I am going to talk about the HDMI out, because a number of you buy a QNAP NAS because it supports an HDMI output to allow them to enjoy multimedia. And although I'm not going to go into too much information about it, I am going to cover it as well as show it to you a little on screen. So, now you've installed a number of those applications and services that we've talked about, it's time for us to move forward and talk a little bit about enjoying the multimedia on your NAS. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is head into the control panel, because if you're going to be utilizing your NAS for streaming media over DLNA, particularly video services, go into the control panel and select DLNA Media Server. From here, you'll be invited to create your media server. Click the tick box to enable the DLNA Media Server, and then click the Advanced Settings tab. A new window will pop up, allowing you to configure your DLNA and uPnP media server. Remember, if you're going to be accessing the media on your NAS and you're not going to be using like an app like Plex Media Server or MB, something we will touch in a future video, it's strongly recommended that you do it in this way, as this will make the NAS appear as a media server on the likes of home consoles, Android media top boxes, even the most basic network connected media appliance for photo, video or music will see the NAS in this way. Give the NAS a name that you can recognize, and then after that you can flick through some of the options. Again, I go into more detail about these configuration options in another video about photos, but again you can leave them blank if you choose, because the default options are still pretty good. On top of that, make sure that you check all of these things are correct, and you can also have a look at any media devices that are on in your network that can receive and communicate with your NAS, as you see here. This means that if you choose and you don't want a particular device to communicate with your media server, simply unclick them. Once you've done that, your media server is now completed, and now the QNAP NAS and the media inside should be visible to your connected devices on the digital via DLNA or uPnP. However, you've still not allowed the NAS to know where your media lives. So before you go any further, in File Station, you either need to have all of your media uploaded to the NAS, which can be done easily by clicking the Upload button here, or creating a folder, or simply dragging and dropping files directly into the NAS window. You can grab a file, drag it over, and it will upload it immediately. And you can do that with batches of folders as well. And if you upload files in a folder, the folder will be created on the NAS as well. Do keep track of where you've uploaded your data, and I recommend that you create a folder, such as I've done here, that says TV shows, movies, etc., as this will become a great deal more helpful later on. Now, when you've done that, the next tool I want you to go into is a tool called Multimedia Console. Multimedia Console should have been installed by default on your QNAP NAS, but if not, go into QTS Essentials and find it right here. Going into Multimedia Console, once you open it up, will allow you to basically tell every single application in the NAS where media lives. It's very straightforward and easy and only has to be done once. Go into the Content Management tab, and then you'll find Video Station here at the top middle. From there, go to the Edit button, and then the list of files and folders on your NAS that your account has access to will be visible. Find the account that you created earlier. In my case, I'm going to go cancel there. I'm going to go into the Video Station app, go into Edit, and I'm telling the NAS that it can access these folders for TV shows, movies, and my 4K test files here. But your files may be different. Just select the folders that the media is in. You don't need to go into any detail and individually select them. As long as you select the parent folder above them, all of the folders inside will be affected. Then click Apply. Immediately afterwards, the NAS will start indexing the system. That means that it's searching internally for all of the available files, and it will search using the parameters you entered there. This means that the files for the right applications will be visible. Indeed, if you want to add the same protocols to your DLNA media server so that those basic or slightly dumber devices can pick up your video media, make sure to go into the DLNA tab and add those folders to that as well. And again, you can add music, photos and more, and all of them will be accessible on the DLNA media server that you've created. So once that's done, we can look at the transcoding tab. Now, transcoding is when the Video Station application will need to change the size, format and codec of a video application. As we do more and more on the Video Station application, this folder will fill. But for now, you can leave it empty, and I'll go through some of the transcoding options later on. Now you've done everything you need to on the Multimedia Console application, at least as far as video is concerned, and again remember, I went into more detail on this on the Photos video, we can now make our way into Video Station. Video Station should be available on your applications here on the top screen, or as I've put it, into a group of folders here, which I'm going to name Video. Bear in mind also that you don't have to use Video Station to watch videos on your desktop PC if you choose. Indeed, if you like, you can go straight into a folder like so, right click and play it in the media window if you choose. You can play it in its original version or transcode it to a smaller resolution that may be better fitting to your laptop screen, or if you're on a limited network. On top of that, if you choose to, you can stream to a supported network device if you want, if there's one in the local area network. It's as straightforward as that. And if you play a video in your window of your web browser, it would appear like this. You have a much more limited user interface on screen. You can configure some of the options, as well as enabling 360 panorama mode if you're using a 3D headset, or if you're using 3D glasses, you can enable goggles mode as well. There's lots of configuration options available, but it's all still a little bit basic. You can also, from the desktop PC, stream to a local connected media device. But for now, let's head into Video Station. Video Station's user interface will be presented like this. As mentioned earlier, if you'd gone into the Application Center and installed these add-ons here, later on you'll get the opportunity to scrape for metadata. As you can see here on screen, if we go into the Information tab, you can see the information of who's in the action, the outline of the story, and references to a lot of the media you're watching along with the poster. Now, I've already added the Movies tab here and the TV Shows tab earlier on from when we were doing them on Multimedia Station. However, what we're going to do now is walk you through exactly how to do it. So for now, let's go into the Movies tab. And what we're going to do is we're now going to edit this tab here. Go to the three dots at the top here and go into Settings. I'm going to delete this. Don't you repeat this, but I'm going to delete that there. And this will allow you now to add movies for the first time, as this is the screen you're likely to see. Select Multimedia tab, select Movies. Then, if you've added those plugins from the App Center mentioned earlier, you can select which one you want to use, IMDb or TMDb. I'm going to use TMDb. For now, then select the plus symbol and find the directory where your movies are based. In my case, I left them in the 603D folder, and there they are in Movies. Once again, you don't have to go into the individual folders. All you have to do is click the primary folder here, the parent folder. Then click OK, and it will now add that folder. It will also begin to re-scrape the metadata. You can repeat these steps lovely and easily. For example, we can go ahead and change the data source if we have multiple sources from IMDb to TV to TVDB. And again, we can choose to disable this album here of TV shows, and I can add a brand new one. Again, I'll add a new TV show directory. There's my TV shows, and click OK. And then we click close, and as you can see, while we're doing this, the NAS in the background has already started scraping that metadata. It's already started finding out all the information about the files, and if we flick over the TV Shows tab, it's starting to sequence the content of that album. Now, when you want to play a file, you can simply double click it or click the play button. Once you click the play button, it will play in this window. Now from here, you've got a little bit more control and extra options. For example, you can change the file format, change the playback speed, you can change the picture quality, you can even change the transcoding if you so choose. You can also change the size of the window you're utilizing to full screen, and if you right click, you've got several options that allow you to change how the video is being visibly made accessible to you. All of that within the Video Station tab. You can right click and go ahead with some of those options here, as well as enabling you to share a link to an existing file on your NAS, and therefore allow other people to be able to access this file, be it on their own desktop settings or utilizing Video Station for themselves. And any shared activities you create, like so, will now be accessible in the shared center. So you can change the viability and the validity of any file you want, as well as revisiting the IP, be it an internet IP or a local network IP, depending on what you've set up. If you have transcoding enabled, you can go ahead and have transcoding to change files on the fly. And another thing I will add in a moment is to talk about Cayin or Cayin or Cayin, I don't know the pronunciation, on the QNAP platform. But for now, you can access your multimedia on a simple file folder level if you choose. If files have been shared with you, they will appear here. And if you want, you can create a smart collection which will allow you to select what information generally based on the files. So, for example, say you want to make sure you have a resolution, a collection of files that are greater than 1080p, you can go ahead make sure you've got a tick on that, name it, for example, higher 1080, click create, and now it immediately has searched through my collection and only found 4K files, because I've created a smart collection that was only designed for files that were higher than 1080p. Once again, we can create another brand new collection. We can use another variable if we like, duration. We can only have files that are smaller than 60 minutes. We can go ahead and name this one sub 1 hour. Click create, and boom, it's immediately sequenced 80 videos that are less than 1 hour in length. That's how useful smart collections are, and particularly if you have an especially wide collection of stock clips. It's lovely and straightforward and very useful indeed. And all of those built into Video Station. And remember, Video Station is available for iOS and Android for you to be able to configure, control and access your multimedia on your phone. Now, if you do want to access the media collection on your NAS on an Amazon Fire Stick, there isn't a QNAP Video Station application currently available on the Amazon Fire Stick. However, if you visit this article over on NASCompares, you'll find several applications that can be used to connect the Amazon Fire Stick with your QNAP Video Station and DLNA media server collection. As you see there, VLC is completely free and gives you nice, easy access to the files on your NAS. There's paid tools such as uPnP, and of course free ones such as Kodi that you can utilize and install via third-party services. I've even included a step-by-step guide on how to install Kodi on your Amazon Fire Stick. It's not available on their App Center, so I recommend checking that guide out. And again, all of the metadata is slowly but surely being scraped there in the background. However long it takes depends on your media collection and the complexity of the data you are looking through. Now, I did say that I would talk about HDMI out. A lot of you buy QNAP NASs thanks to their support of HDMI over 1080p and 4K. If you head into the Application Center, there's a whole tab dedicated to just HD applications with several video applications that include Video Station that is connected to the existing Video Station archive you just created and all of those libraries, but also HD Player, which is designed to play back high definition quality video on the HDMI out. Once you connect a monitor to your QNAP NAS or a TV with an HDMI screen, you are presented with a parallel user interface on the NAS. So whereas on the desktop here or via the web browser you see this, the HDMI output has its own very special and completely parallel running user interface. You can look at that user interface at any time here on the web browser by going into the settings here on the control panel in HDMI display applications and enabling remote desktop. This will allow you to access the HDMI output via your web browser, although it's recommended that HDMI for the sake of refresh rate is always enjoyed as an HDMI out. All you then have to do on that settings menu is click this link here. Alternatively, I'm going to go straight here where I've already enabled it. You can go through a number of options that you see here on screen for each of the tools, and there is a lot of applications readily available online. Again, I'm not going to try to play back anything here via the HDMI output, as the refresh rate here on screen using web browser is nowhere near as good as just connecting to the 4K or 1080p out application. If you do use the HDMI out application to enjoy media on your NAS, it's recommended that if you want to use Video Station, that you go into this cog here, then select Preferences, and within Preferences you should be able to select the default application that the device loads out into. You can go into individual apps and change their settings if you choose. And then once you've done all of that, every time the NAS boots, it will automatically load into the application that you want to load up as a default, and that will be the HDMI output for your NAS moving forward. Again, once you've done that, it means if you set as auto run, that now when you have the NAS connected to an HDMI monitor, this will always be outputted by default, and you can change that later on if you choose by going back into this menu and changing the default application. And remember, Video Station for HD Station connects directly to the Video Station configuration you've created here. All of your playlists, shares, metadata and more will then be visible via the HDMI out on your QNAP NAS. But then a number of you are keen to wonder, how do you control these menus? If you're not using the web browser, how do you interface with the NAS? Well, there's several options. You can utilize Bluetooth remote controls connected via a USB port on the QNAP NAS, with thousands of different remotes being supported for as little as £5. Alternatively, you can use your mobile phone. If you have an Android or iOS device, search in the App Center for an app called QButton. QButton is an app that you install on your mobile phone, which then allows you to completely control your QNAP NAS via HD Station. You need to enter the login credentials on the mobile phone application. Then it will communicate with the NAS and you'll be able to control the NAS and all of its services over HDMI nice and easily. All of these steps will happen in real time in the background and right now allow you to control all the video menus and options with your phone, even though they're on your big screen TV, all with instant latency. On top of that, the QButton interface also has several buttons on board that you can dedicate to different applications and services. So you can have it so that the red button will immediately switch to your surveillance cameras, or the blue button switches to music, and the green button to audio or to video if you choose. Again, it's a completely free application for iOS and Android that will communicate with your NAS and allow you to control the HDMI out easily and at the single touch of a button. And it's that straightforward to utilize. And again, there's lots of third-party applications for HD Station available on the My QNAP Club page, including Plex Media Server and Kodi, both of which can be installed and utilized over HDMI on your QNAP NAS. The final two tools I want to talk about are Cayin Player and Cinema 28. I'll be very quick on these as they are slightly fringe applications. Now, for those that aren't aware, when you are playing media on your QNAP NAS, depending on the weight and the complexity of the files you play, some files are easier to play than others, and some codecs are harder to play than others, one of which is known as HEVC. Otherwise known as H.265, it's a big part of 10-bit HDR media. Now, most NAS systems, and indeed most media players, are unable to play this media format in its original format, needing to compress it due to problems of licensing issues and the patent for HEVC being spread across multiple companies. However, you can install Cayin CMS Lite. This is available in the App Center, and once it's installed, will allow you to utilize this tool and add your Video Station application to it in order for you to play back these files easily. I'm not going to go into much detail with this, as I have a dedicated video on Cayin coming very, very soon, so I'll recommend you check that out. Alternatively, there is the other app, Cinema 28, which is a semi-professional streaming application to send media to the devices in your home via Bluetooth and the network. All you need to do is select which interface that you're going to be utilizing on the NAS, which includes HDMI out, then drag and drop a file into this window. Once you do it, it will output via that user interface, be it HDMI or more. And again, you will need to configure this for the very first time, as it's quite a complex little tool. But once you get it up and running in your multifaceted network and bandwidth home, you will see really, really good results on how media is played on what devices in your home or business environment that you want them played on. But again, this has been how to enjoy video media on your QNAP NAS. I will be doing a follow-up video very soon on the popular application Plex Media Server in conjunction with QTS5, and I recommend you check that out. I've got multiple guides over on NASCompares for how to make the most of your network attached storage in terms of video media, all readily available at the click of a button, with literally tens of thousands of guides at the touch of a button. If you're still slightly in the dark about the setup for your data storage needs, for video, photos, music, backups, business or more, why not utilize our free advice section over here? The advice section is available at the single touch of a button. It's answered by two human beings, myself and Eddie the web guy, who answer every inquiry. We don't do anything with your email, and it allows us to give free, impartial and unbiased advice to you. And again, completely free. There are donate buttons here on the right hand side of the screen, which are always nice to use, but you don't have to use them. But overall, this has been how to make the most of your QNAP NAS and video. Again, I will be visiting those other tools very, very soon, so I recommend you check those out. My next video is going to be on Plex, and then we've got some surveillance and virtual machine tutorials for QNAP QTS 5 coming very soon, so I recommend you check those out. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe to stay tuned on further videos, and click like if you've enjoyed the video, as it really helps me out. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.